2024 business meeting to order. We are going to be giving reports from all the committees. We'll do a brief introduction, actually, of all the board members, and then folks will give their annual reports, and we will conduct some new business related to a soon-to-be vacant membership chair position, and then answer any questions from the audience you guys have about SNCA business. I will introduce from above, since folks are everywhere, the board members, just starting up here. Our membership chair is Patrick Cash from ECU. Our development chair is Shante Alvarez from Elon University. Our education chair is Marlena Rose from ECU Health Sciences Library. Our nominations chair, brought back from many years ago, thank you, Don, is Don Lucas Howard. Did I get those? Howard Lucas, I always have to double check. Our secretary is Samantha Crisp of UNCW. Our member at large for students and new professionals is Ashley Gerald Hill. Yeah, we have it, the audience. And our vice president here in front, everyone knows and loves him, Josh Hager. Karen Feeney is our Archives Month chair. Presenting reports in absentia are our Electronic Resources chair, Nicole Yatonsky, Publications chair, Barry Helms, member at large for the Regional Archives Association Consortium, Jessica Dame, and our treasurer, Harry Cook. Actually, Karen, we're just going to do the reports in alphabetical order. Karen, would you like to come up and give your report? Your face. I can give your report thanks to the bang-up work of Sam Crisp. Committee member, well, come up and give me a report. Just really briefly, the reports will be available in full on our website ASAP, I'm sure. Nicole will be on it. So we don't have to do the full thing, but, because some of them are quite long, and they come with pictures. Look here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this is the report.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks. Sorry, everybody. Wholly unprepared for this, so last year we did our theme for Archives Month was, let me look here, Scandal, Nuisance, Calamity, and Anguish in the Archives. Like, we wanted to be very fully inclusive of all the weirdness that happens in our archives. We got some really neat pictures that people submitted from their archives of just kind of shenanigans going on in their archives. Got Miss Pinky Delight, who visited Piedmont Community College. That was a really cute picture of a pig that was in the on the campus. Sorry, let me get together here. So what we did was images on the Facebook page, and we described what people had submitted for images. We also had 3 lunch and learn sessions, and I apologize for not getting the attendance on those. I wrote them down and then probably lost the paper that I had written those on. And we also had created 3 different posters for people to use in their institutions that listed the images that were submitted for the posters, and then on the back it listed all the institutions that were on there. And it seems to be, our engagement with Facebook seems to be coming along, because we get a lot of likes on our Archives Month post, and we've got a lot of people that have been liking the page, so that's kind of a great thing. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Karen. I don't remember the order of the alphabet. Shante, can you give your report next?
Sure. Good morning. So I'd like to thank the other members of the development committee, Jennifer Baker from Duke and Juliana Seiler, also from Elon. In terms of conference sponsorship, the committee sent out emails to 26 businesses and universities requesting sponsorship donations. We received a total of $1,400 in contributions. Yay to our sponsors. In terms of the awards that the Development Committee oversees, as you heard yesterday, we received one application for the Michelle Francis Scholarship Award. So we are looking forward to, so as the Development Committee Chair, we're looking forward to ways of how to get more responses, hopefully, next year, so we can give out the two. But we are grateful that we were able to acknowledge Laura Silver for her contribution. And then we received one nomination for the Mitchell Award, which congratulations again to Martha Elmore. Thank you to everyone.
Great, thank you. That is not. Thanks to everyone on the Development Committee. Thank you, Shantae. Marlena will give the education report next.
Okay, I would like to start by giving a sincere thank you to the members of the Education Committee. That was Jonathan Lawler, Sarah Sowa, Elliot Cooker, Kenneth Marks, Randy Beam, Adriana Bennett, Sandra Very, Blake Tyner, Karen Feeney, and Netta Cox. Since the 2023 business meeting of SNCA, the Education Committee has accomplished the following. In November, the committee members met to discuss the annual award and scholarship, and we discussed ideas for potential pre-conference workshops. Following the meeting, the committee members updated the list of contacts for the SNCA Jackson Award. Submissions for the Gene J. Williams Student Paper Award were solicited in January. This year's recipient is Emma Dingle, a student in the School of Library and Information Science at UNC Greensboro. Dingle's paper, A Snapshot of Literary Manuscript Collecting in the United States and Britain, will be published in the next issue of SNCA. Applicants for the C. David Jackson Memorial Conference Scholarship were also solicited in January. This year's recipients are Griffin Anderson, a student in the Department of Library Science at East Carolina University, and Kensington Laub, a student in the School of Information and Library Science at UNC Chapel Hill. In December, the committee worked to solicit workshops for the pre-conference session. One 4-hour workshop preceded SNCA's 2024 Raleigh Conference. The Library Copyright Institute led Cultivating Copyright Knowledge for Archives. 22 people registered for this workshop. A second workshop, Exploring Federal Records for Genealogy Research, had 13 registrants, but was canceled due to a personal circumstance. A third workshop, Mentoring, Establishing Programs, Supporting Mentors, and Ensuring Mentees Benefit, was canceled due to low registration numbers. We hope to offer this content in another way in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlena. I will give Nicole's report. It's a beautiful thing. I'm sorry she can't be here to give it herself. She's a wonderful gal. So the eResources Chair updated documentation to be more comprehensive and included any new duties. A few years ago, we migrated to wild apricot, and there is still some issues that have to be resolved in sort of smoothing over that transition and making sure that any new responsibilities related to the wild apricot setup are sort of taken over by someone, whether it's the Resources Chair or someone else. Nicole fully updated and revamped the entire website theme and structure this year, which you were all able to see and use as part of the annual conference, edited and replaced content, added new pages, and updated photos. We're always soliciting photographs of your collections or blog posts for our website. So if you have news to announce, please consider posting it on the blog, which replaced the paper newsletter that folks were talking about yesterday. Cleaned up the listserv, created an automatic response for our email inbox just to make sure that folks do sort of like have an acknowledgement, cleaned up the inbox for ncarchivists@gmail.com, and created some new organization and filter rules. We get a lot of emails from Wild Apricot, actually related to people registering as members or registering for the conference. And it can sometimes hide individual member emails, so she helped with that. Nicole was very active in setting up the annual meeting, as you know from registering. That was an event on our website, but it did require some hands-on registration, determining ticket types. She created the schedule online and a printable condensed version of the schedule, corresponded with issues particularly relating to having to cancel a workshop and figuring out how to get folks their money or register them for a different workshop. She has noted that as SNCA grows, the website regularly reaches or exceeds its contacts list. We pay for 250 contacts. SNCA has, Patrick will discuss this, but SNCA has, 123 regular members and 43 student members, so 166 active members. You would think that 250 contacts would be enough. But folks who are not members, rightfully so, do come to the annual meeting or register for workshops, and so that means that we regularly exceed or bump right up against that 250 number. It would be an extra $1,000 to bump up to the next level of membership, which we're not sure is the best use of SNCA's money. So we will be in the future exploring ways to manage the contacts in a, best possible way, thinking about new ways to register for different things. That is the e-resources chair report. Patrick, will you give the membership committee report, please?
All right, thank you. So as Stephanie mentioned, we currently have, as of Tuesday, 166 active members. 123 of those are regular members. That is up from 96 at the time of last year's conference. And then 43 student members, which is up from 27 at the time of last year's conference. In total, we have added 73 new members to the organization since the 2023 annual conference. We've had 98 members renew their membership since last year's conference. And thanks in part to you all, as well as communication from the board, we have reduced our number of overdue or lapsed memberships. Currently, we only have 13 members who are overdue and 8 who have let their membership completely lapse. In February of this year, the board approved a new policy that all lapsed memberships will be suspended following 30 days and 2 notifications from the membership chair that your membership is no longer active. That will help us with that 250 contact issue, because once it's suspended, it does not count towards that total. Efforts were made in conjunction with the electronic resources chair to clean up the listserv by removing members that have let their memberships lapse, as you just heard. And then earlier this cycle, myself, Harry Cook, and Stephanie met to discuss potential changes to membership fees for SNCA. We discussed, among other things, conference discounts or offerings for graduate students. The subcommittee proposed the following: that student memberships will be reduced to $10, that student membership fees will be available for up to 3 years before converting to the regular membership tier. And I still need to look in with Nicole a little bit on Wild Apricot to see how, if this automatically would happen or if we need to go in and manually change that. And then we have also proposed that any non-member who registers for the conference will get a year membership. The conference fee would be priced to include this, be $20, a $5 discount for non-student members, and no price increase for students. And then last month, we approved the proposal that students registering for the annual conference would receive the 1-year membership as part of their conference registration. So thank you all for keeping your membership up to date. I'm sorry if you got 1,000 emails from me. I know they get kind of annoying after a while, but thank you.
Good good morning. I am giving the nominating committee report, and so typically, the nominating committee chair is the immediate past president, so it will be Stephanie next year, but there was no immediate past president because that person left the organization. So I was appointed as the chair, if you're wondering how I got here. So I'd like to thank my other committee members. They are Marcellus Joyner from the High Point Museum and Dawn Schmitz from UNC Charlotte. And so our newly elected candidates, so electronic voting opened on March 15th, closed April 16th, so just the other day. And so our newly elected candidates are for president, Josh Hager, who I think you're all familiar with by now. Vice president / program chair, Patrick Cash, who you just heard from. Treasurer, Harry Cook from Gaston College, who is the current treasurer. The publications chair, Rebecca Williams from Duke University Medical Center Library and Archives. The member at large, the SAA Regional Archival Associations Consortium, known as RAC. Our representative for that consortium is Adriana Bennett from UNC Charlotte. And the other member at large, who is the new professional / student member, is Davia Webb from UNC Chapel Hill. And the open positions for next year will be president, again, vice president, program chair, and then secretary, education committee chair, electronic resources chair, membership chair, and development chair. And just a few notes. We used the polls feature in Wild Apricot to collect the ballots, which was very convenient. With the election of Patrick Cash as the vice president and program chair, he is no longer going to be the membership chair. So the executive board will need to appoint a new membership chair, and I think Stephanie might get to that later. And then finally, the Archives Month chair should have been on this year's slate, but it was omitted just honestly due to an oversight. And so the executive board is going to determine how to proceed with that situation. So, thank you.
Thanks, Dawn. I am giving the Publications Committee report on the behalf of Barry Holmes of Renolda House. Thank you to all the members of the SNCA editorial board, Matt Turry, Elizabeth Johnson, Lavinia Morrill, Michelle Witt, Michelle Rosquillo, Francesca Turner, Kathleen Smith, Jonathan Lawler, and Kristen Merriman. Sorry if I mispronounced anyone's name. With the position of managing editor for SNCA remaining vacant, Barry Holmes has continued as interim managing editor. A call for papers was issued in the fall of 2023, but they got no submissions. This spring, Barry reached out directly to potential authors, and the editorial board is currently working on the next issue of SNCA. The publication is expected in late May. She also notes that the continuing decline in article submissions necessitated a need to reevaluate SNCA's publishing practices. As a first step, she audited other regional archives journals and reached out to editors for recommendations based on their experiences. With the exception of the Journal of Western Archives, which has a broad geographic area, the other journals are experiencing the same decline in participation as SNCA. Suggestions for development include an on-demand publication schedule, allowing for audiovisual submissions, creating themed issues around annual meeting topics, and working more closely with students and authors to get submissions publication ready. So this feedback will be compiled and passed on to the new incoming publications chair. I will also be serving as Jessica Dame, member at large for the Regional Archives Association Consortium, AKA RAC. The 2023 RAC is a SAA body that convenes the regional association representatives to make sure that we're all in contact with each other. So the 2023 RAC meeting took place virtually in July of 2023. The meeting covered membership engagement and organizational stability for our archival organizations. There was a panel with representation from MAC, the Midwest Archives Conference, Northwest Archives, and the Society of Georgia Archivists to discuss initiatives including an archivist in residence program. RAC has been spotlighting regional organizations and their work and continues to encourage organizations to participate. We can submit a form to be included. In early 2024, they called for input on brown bag discussion topics and continued to share presentation registrations, grant opportunities, and event announcements directly from SAA, some of which you probably have seen on our listserv. Ashley, are you ready to give a member at large new professional and student report? Thanks everyone for giving reports. We usually do this on Zoom. It's much more intimidating on a stage and a microphone with people. Much fewer jokes from me.
Good morning, everyone. So for the past couple of years, it was pretty quiet for my member at large position. I did, however, in 2022 to 2023, I sent out an interest email to some of the students, and this was before we did like a membership evaluation and overhaul. So I sent out like a spreadsheet and interest form to students to see if they would be interested in like a research forum or a grad student salon where they could communicate with each other and share potential research ideas. But that really didn't get a lot of interest, and then we found out that some of the emails for members who they were identified as students, but they were actually no longer students. So moving into the following year, we did the membership cleanup, and I looked at the points of contact for the LIS schools in the state, and found out that that also needs to be updated. And this year, I sent out the call for proposals to education department or academic departments outside of LIS, and we did have a presenter yesterday who was the result of that from UNCG, and I think that was pretty successful. But presently, I'm working on developing more documentation for the person who's going to be onboarding, because that was what was lacking before. It's like there was not really, there were no really like identified protocols or framework and procedures for this position. So that's what I'm working on, and hopefully when we do like the transfer over the next couple of months, that person will have a little more to go off of, and that'll be like more conducive to communicating and having that exchange with LIS students and kind of casting the net a little wider. And that's all.
Thank you, Ashley. I am now presenting for the treasurer, Harry Cook of Gaston College. SNCA currently has $8,307.62 in our checking account, $18,532.87 in a money market account, and $26.24 in an account called Savings Shares, which I think is just a savings account. Also, we are hoping next year to move our funds to Truist Bank. We currently hold our accounts at the State Employees Credit Union, but they have changed how institutional memberships work, so we can no longer invest funds in CDs, which is, we used to, make some small amount of maybe like 4 or 5% interest on funds that we were not using, and SECU no longer allows institutional accounts to do that. So in the coming years, hopefully we will migrate. Harry has identified Truist as the best option for us and the one with the most branches, so that no matter who the treasurer is, they will be able to have access to a local account. Josh, will you please give your vice president's report? Do you want my iPad? Do you want my dad iPad? Are you gonna take photos of it?
Appreciate that. The Program and Local Arrangements Committee, so those are the two that I've been sort of over as vice president, have been busy, very busy over the past year planning this annual meeting. We decided on the theme, looking back, looking forward, to commemorate the 40th anniversary of SNCA, which I explained yesterday. The annual meeting took place yesterday and today. Since it was the first in-person meeting since 2019, we decided to do a central location to reset the rotation of Central East, Central West. And given that SNCA was founded in 1984 and the first grumblings were here at the State Archives, we decided to just host it here. It also was personally easier for me to arrange the logistics as the program chair. We selected April 17th through 19th to allow for a mid-spring meeting. Usually we do March because of spring break on campus, but since that wasn't an issue this year, we went a little bit later. I acknowledged them yesterday, but I'll just briefly read the names again. The programming committee was responsible for selecting sessions and posters. I think you all agree that the sessions and posters have been amazing so far. All planning took place through conference calls. The committee members, other than me, included Patrick Cash, Austin Coburn, Kathleen McCarty-Smith, Rebecca May, and Barry Weiss. Thank you so much for your assistance. The Local Arrangements Committee arranged the conference and workshop venues, catering from Empire, tours, the hotel, the Longleaf Hotel, the pre-conference trivia at the Times, and the Thursday evening 40th anniversary reception, which hopefully you all enjoyed yesterday if you were there. I'd like to thank those members again, Francesca Evans, Aaron Gallagher, Dominique Romero, Colin Reeve, and Taylor Walford. Empire Eats was the culinary partner for the annual meeting. They provided catering for breakfast both days, lunch yesterday, and heavy hors d'oeuvres for the reception. The Raleigh Times, which hosted the trivia, is also an Empire property. Empire charged a flat rate of $10,000 for all food and associated costs for the conference, and the total price of all that we got for the conference was over $22,000. So we thank them for their generous donation in kind for over half of the budget. We had a total of 10 sessions featuring 33 speakers from North Carolina as well as Virginia, and as well as 3 poster sessions. 117 people registered to attend the conference in person. An additional 46 people are attending the conference virtually. And I think today some of those in person are virtual. But we have, so in total, we have over 160 people, or around 160 people for the conference. Our keynote speaker was selected as Dr. Darren Waters because this is his home building, Deputy Secretary of Archives and History. So for clarification, if the title isn't clear, the only people above him are the Secretary of the Department, Reed Wilson, and the Governor. So he speaks with authority within the department, and hopefully we agree that his keynote yesterday was quite fascinating, looking at his family's connections with archives and what he thinks that our role is in the community and with academic history. We have the business meeting today. Usually the business meeting occurs during lunch, but we decided to have it separate because lunch was going to be all over the place scattered yesterday, so this was just easier. And we will have a closing conversation this afternoon, which is very much in the same vein as what we did in 2018 and 2019. A few other numbers, 35 people signed up to attend trivia at the Times on Wednesday. We had a total attendance of 22. 74 people signed up to attend the reception yesterday, and I didn't take a count, but that seems about accurate. 30 people will be attending the State Archives tour this afternoon, 11 will be attending the tour of the State Library, and 16 will be attending the tour of D.H. Hill Library at NC State. The student rate for the conference was $20, and the non-student rate was $65. We do want to acknowledge the Longleaf Hotel, which was the official hotel of the conference. They gave us a room rate of $156, and we thank them for their consideration. Finally, for accessibility and inclusion, for the first time, pronouns were included as a default on the name tags for all conference attendees unless an attendee opted out. The programming committee and I hope that you have found this annual meeting very useful and productive so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josh. The last report is from me as president, not me as anyone else. The board has met 9 times from May 2023 to April 2024, including a short meeting earlier this month, not including this meeting. This is our 10th meeting, and we also met for an 11th time in person and virtually in September 2024 for a strategic planning retreat. We were guided by Kelly Wooten in a consultant capacity. We did pay her for her time $2,000. And thank you very much to Durham Public Library for being a central, easily accessible, and hospitable location for our strategic planning. We made some strategic planning goals on that retreat related to administrative work. Our board book and back-end management needed some updating. For example, Nicole sort of pointed that out in her report related to Wild Apricot. And there were other sort of logistical issues. Due to the pandemic, due to switching to Wild Apricot, I think there were just some things that needed to be revisited and made sure that all the administrative management issues were sort of up to date. So the board book has been updated to hopefully just point people in the right direction and answer as many questions as possible. The Constitution and bylaws do need some updating, and we were not able to do that. It requires a vote by the membership at the annual meeting. My bad, I did not get to that this year. We made some goals related to outreach, related to internally with the board and possible future board members, i.e. SNCA members, as well as externally with general membership, potential members, and allied organizations such as NCPC, the Preservation Consortium, NCMC, the Museum Consortium or Conference, I don't know what their C stands for, RAC, and NCLA, the North Carolina Library Association. We also discussed ways to use our money meaningfully, to review our income and expenses, audit the awards given out by SNCA, and think about ways we could support the work and development of archives workers across North Carolina with any overflow funds. We also made goals related to programming and talked about how to provide training and education opportunities to everyone, from paraprofessional graduate students up through late career folks, and provide casual and social opportunities as well. It has been difficult, of course, to do these things during the pandemic and Zoom fatigue and just sort of, everyone with a lot to do and not much time to do it. So we have made progress on some of these goals, such as set policies related to the listserv and blog posts that have been shared with members, the membership update that a couple of us took on this spring, a massively updated board book available to board members. There is still some work to be done on that, but there's just a lot more documentation of the practices of the board in there. A list of updates to the website, including information about each position, will be forthcoming. I will do that. Patrick gave the report on the update to membership structure, which is also part of the strategic planning effort. An audit of the awards is in early stages, but will need to be completed next year. Shantae and Marlena took that on with me in a supporting role. And engaged members to staff committees help make progress on issues, and that's a big help. I hope chairs will continue to work to bring folks together in the coming terms. The board really needs many hands to make light work. We need input from our membership in order to make sure that we're fulfilling the needs of our members and using our money, shepherding it and stewarding it in ways that make sense for all the North Carolina archives workers. So I urge you, if you're in this room, to think about joining a committee or supporting, the committee that makes the most sense for you. And reading the emails, I'm surprised. I always am surprised when I come to a conference and people are like, oh, I know your name. I recognize it from the emails. We're all guilty of deleting emails, but if you read and respond sometimes, we love it. We love to see it. I am very grateful to the boards of SNCA, past, present, and future, for making themselves useful to this organization and its members. Many thanks especially to this year's board members, many of whom you have met today and heard from, who put up with my icebreaker questions, off-brand Muppet Theater vibes, and contribute valuable suggestions, insights, and just doing the work. It can be hard to find time to keep track of what's on Wild Apricot, to keep track of the deadlines for all of these awards, and many thanks to y'all for making the time to do that. You have met them, so I will not list them, but I do want to shout out Dawn Lucas again for becoming past president many years after her actual past presidency year to head the nominations committee. That is it. We do, for reports, are there any questions, I guess, about the reports before I move forward with new business? No burning questions about, you guys, that means we were very thorough. Congratulations. So we do have new business, although the board will not roll over until May 1st, and there is sort of a transition period. Obviously, new board members can reach out to old board members at any time. I will speak for myself, try to return your emails in a timely manner. But there is a proposed membership chair to fill the role that Patrick will be vacating at the 1st of May. Robert's Rules of Order. I discovered this week 2 books about Robert's Rules of Order that I did not have access to. So I've never learned Robert's Rules of Order. Please, no one get mad at me. Dawn has suggested, and I have brought to the board, a proposed membership chair, Randall Bowman of Elon University. He spoke yesterday with Patrick and I and has agreed to be nominated for the role. Since the position will be vacated according to the Constitution and bylaws, the board votes on a replacement for any empty positions. I propose and require a second that we ensconce Randall Bowman in the membership chair role starting in May 2024. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor say aye or raise your hands, ye old Zoom way. Great, I see a majority of hands up. Randall Bowman as of May 1st. Thank you for attending this meeting. You will be the membership chair. And also as Dawn, thank you. See the off-brand Muppet vibes, you get it now, right? So as Dawn pointed out, due to just some administrative confusion, I help run elections for our librarians assembly. It's a perennial issue there as well. We do not have an Archives Month chair, so Karen has agreed to take on the role for another year. Josh, Patrick, your work is to convince her maybe to stay on for a 4th year. But I propose that we continue Karen's role in the Archives Month chair for another year. Can I have a second? Thank you. All in favor, raise your hands or say aye. I see a majority of hands. I hear an aye. Thank you. So Karen, thank you for agreeing to stay on. We love having you. So that role will be filled for another year. The actual election, due to the timing of the board, won't take place for another 2 years. So there will be a vacancy in 2024, but that concludes the new business of the board. Again, open to any questions, comments. You want to Muppet off with me? I can do it. Anything? I did tell some new professionals yesterday that they could do a snicket at night, like a snick at night. I feel like, isn't that like that was like a nick at night thing? Party next year, so practice your dance moves in the coming year. They seem very gung-ho. I'm for it. I might be in bed by 9:30, but I'm rooting for y'all. thus concludes the meeting at 9:30. You have an extra half an hour to be warm. Please feel free to email ncarchivists@gmail.com for any comments. And also, please, I will plug the conference evaluation form. Didn't you love the food? Any suggestions about time, like, are there activities that we did not provide that would be of interest to you? Are there off-conference things that you would like us to pursue in the future? Again, we do work for the Archives Workers of North Carolina. We need your help to know what is valuable to you. I personally will be putting a plug in for a handwriting reading class so that I can one-up old Rebecca May, who's the expert handwriting. I always point patrons to her, and it's time for me to, carry my weight. Goodbye, you're free. Be free. Oh, I guess I didn't. Josh, you're not the president for another 2 weeks, so I didn't pass the gavel. You don't have a gavel. I don't think.